Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehaknu b'dor. Amen. All right, so we have some l'chaim. Shkrach.
Time to count. Now we don't have any. Right.
That's good. L'chaim is good like this. L'chaim.
L'chaim.
Taka in Chabad was not so much the minute to sing the Shirim Piyutim L'Kover of Shimon Vayachai, but it's a very sweet.
No.
No. It's fine. Very sweet. It's a very sweet minig, and it's a very nice song. And we thought that if we're going to sing a song, we definitely have to include the Ben Ish Chai, as we always do in Beis Menachem Mendel. Definitely the minig in Beis Menachem Mendel.
You bet off.
Sure. Pass the venture. Okay. So I made copies, but if there are not enough copies, you can look together. It's not a deep toast. Amen. Bar Yochai nimshachta ashrecha shemen sosai mechaverecha Bar Yochai nimshachta ashrecha shemen sosai mechaverecha Bar Yochai shemen mishchas kodesh nimshachta midas hakodesh No so tzitznei zera kodesh Chovush arosh chaperecha Bar Yochai nimshachto ashrecha shemen sosai mechaverecha Bar Yochai nimshachto ashrecha shemen sosai mechaverecha Bar Yochai Moshev Tov Yoshavto Yoim Nasta Yoim Asher Barachto B'mora Asurim She'omadeto Shom Konis Ahoit Chavadorecha Bar Yochai Nimshachto Ashrecha Shemen Sosai Mechaverecha Bar Yochai Nimshachto Ashrecha Shemen Sosai Mechaverecha Bar Yochai Atzishit Moimdim Lemudei Hashem Ein Moimdim Or Mufla Or Ayoy Kodem Yoikdim Alohem Ayoruch Amoirecha Bar Yochai Nimshachto Ashrecha Shemen Sosai Mechaverecha Bar Yochai Nimshachto Ashrecha Shemen Sosai Mechaverecha Bar Yochai L'stei Tapuchim Alisa Lilked Boyemei Kochim Soy Toiro Kisitzim Ufrachim Naso Adam Nemar Murecha Bar Yochai Nimshachto Ashrecha Shemen Sosai Mechaverecha Bar Yochai Nimshachto Ashrecha Shemen Sosai Mechaverecha Bar Yochai Nezarta B'Gvura V'Melchemes Eishdot Lashara B'Cherev Tzeisa Metara Sholachta Neged Zorerecha Bar Yochai Nimshachta Ashrecha Shemen Sosai Mechaverecha Bar Yochai Nimshachta Ashrecha Shemen Sosai Mechaverecha Bar Yochai Lemgoim Avnei Shayish Higatov Nei Aryolayish Gam Gulas Kaiseres Alayish Tashuru Mir Shurecha Bar Yochai Nimshachta Ashrecha Shemen Sosai Mechaverecha Bar Yochai Nimshachta Ashrecha Shemen Sosai Mechaverecha Bar Yochai Bekodesh HaKodoshim Kav Yorek Mechadesh Chodoshim Sheva Shabsoi Tzot Chamishim Koshar Tekish Reishin Keshorecha Bar Yochai Nimshachto Ashrecha Shemen Sosai Mechaverecha Bar Yochai Nimshachto Ashrecha Shem and Sosai Mechaverecha, Bar Yochai Yuchach Mokeduma, Ishkav Telechoida Benima, Leim Nesiva is Reshis Teruma, Ad Kerumim Shasi Voirecha, Bar Yochai Shachta Ashrecha, Shem and Sosai Mechaverecha, Bar Yochai Nimshachta Ashrecha, Shem and Sosai Mechaverecha, Bar Yochai Mufler Mala, Yore Samal Habit Hiravla, Talum Ayin Koidala, Nam Ayin La. Bar Yochai Nimshachta Ashrecha, Shem and Sosai Mechaverecha, Bar Yochai Nimshachta Ashrecha, Shem and Sosai Mechaverecha, Bar Yochai Asher Ladetecha, Asher Meim Limudecha, V'Asher Dimal Sedecha, Labushei Chosh, Echa V'Urecha, Bar Yochai Nimshachta Ashrecha, Shem and Sosai Mechaverecha, Bar Yochai Nimshachta Ashrecha, Shem and Sosai Mechaverecha. L'chaim, l'chaim, l'chaim.
Who wrote down Bar Yochai?
When the first says this is Namish, this is from the first Mekubalim, Shimon Lavi. Always when I read at these songs, you know, there's two things that pop out. One, how did Shimon and the Zohar always accepted so many compliments from his Talmidim and Chavedim? But that's one issue. But the other one is that which is less complicated to get your head around. Obviously, Shimon was a different type of person, but we can learn a lesson. The Zohar tells it to us. So obviously, the simple lesson, like this week's parsha, Emor, you see a Yid, you give him a good word, you give him a compliment, and you think that one is enough. Look at the songs of Bar Yochai, and you'll know when to stop. But the remarkable thing is the other way. The remarkable thing is, that there's a beautiful word in Yiddish, fagint. I love that word, fagint. I don't know if any language has a good word like this. They translate in English, translate it anyway. Can't translate. Fagint means that when someone else is doing good, you feel such pleasure from it. Huh? I don't know. Even in Hebrew, it's shrach. Fagint. It's like you enjoy it. You see someone else doing well.
You allow yourself to give.
I don't know. Fagint is that the pleasure you have. So this is the song of Bar Yochai. This is the song of Bar Yochai. This is the song of Marta Kol B'chai, especially Bar Yochai. And this is based on the Zohar, because you see that in the Zohar, they're complimenting him. Chassidus says that when a person has to, when you're trying to get someone to so you need that push. That compliment is really there to open up. They should know what they really are made out of. So when you give a person that push, the compliment is really a push to help them, break through.
Give him Shem and Sasim.
Exactly. L'chaim.
If you're not jealous.
This is okay.
And as well as
so that's the first lesson from Bar Yochai. L'chaim.
Anyone needs one L'chaim?
the game is the opposite of the cannot
Voice,
believe.
yeah.
So they said to you,
Yeah.
right.
Hey, I got
Are
you.
you jealous for me?
Okay. L'chaim.
Yes.
Johnny.
You got it? Because you're a young kid, so you can get second.
Yeah. It's this is
They for 80 years, that Rebbe started 80 years ago, started the idea of a parade. I mean, Lag BaOmer is celebrated for two. If you think about this, I was talking last night to Ayid. We went out in Beis Menachem Mendel to the field. We went all the way out, like the Minig Yisrael, to go out to the field. A couple of the Chevre here drove over. So there was a couple of his neighbors there. And
forgot to shoot.
huh?
You forgot to shoot.
I forgot to shoot. So I was could you imagine? It could in 1,800 years. In 1,800 years, what would the population in America be? A few billion people? Could you imagine that maybe like 300 million people, July 4th, are sent to Monticello to visit the cave of Thomas Jefferson. Who's going to know who the guy is? By then it's going to be, top of his grades, it'll be a McDonald's or something. Can you imagine how many people Israel is? How many Yidden live in Israel? And there's 50, 60,000 people that go up. I mean, this is a huge percentage-wise. I mean, this is an unbelievable thing. You see that this thing is lebedik. Okay, so at one of the Rebbe used to come out, the Rebbe used to talk, and the Rebbe was always in a level. Kids are sitting here, and the Rebbe asked that the Lashon in the Gemara, as the Gemara says, that posku milamas, that the Talmid the Rebbe Akiva were not only they were not complimenting each other with fakert, they were loynogu kovet zebazeh. So that Lashon Posku Lamos sounds like they should have continued dying, but because of something special, Lag BaOmer, Posku Lamos. Otherwise, you wouldn't say Posku Lamos. If whoever needed to die, died. So what would you think? The other one should, for no reason, it sounds like Posku Lamos, that something that maybe Chas v'Shalom there was those that could have died more. But Posku Lamas. Why? Because it was Lag BaOmer. It's mashma that day has a special thing. Obviously, at that time, Reb Shimon was alive, but we know that a Yom Zgula is even before it happens. It's a Yom Zgula. Pi Kabbalah, today is a special day. Why? Because it's Hoid Shebahoid. What's Hoid Shebahoid? So, every Lubavitch wedding invitation, it says that the chasna is b'shoah chamishis. Then you have a little star on the bottom, the chuppah is going to be 7:30. Because that's why it was the Rebbe's invitation by his wedding. So why by the Rebbe's invitation? I heard one sabir because Shoah Chamishus that's to do with Midas HaHoid. Hoid, there's something special about Hoid because Api Kabbalah, Hoid is the main Svira. It's the last Svira. In other words, if you purified everything to Hoid, you're good. It's like the rest is a walk. And Hoid Sheba Hoid means that a person already purified. So there's a certain koyach here that a person already purified. Ikre midoisa. Some of us think we forgot about this whole thing about. Okay, we could start today and go on till the end. But Hoid Sheba Hoid is like that's something special. So therefore, because the koyach of Hoid Sheba Hoid, the koyach of Lag BaOmer, therefore Paschal Lamas gave those that unfortunately might have died, but that was a day that they changed. They did tshuva, and therefore Pasku, because the kedusha of this day touched every Yid and Pasku Melamas. I was thinking on that this week, and there's a Choshev Rov in Eretz Yisrael, the Lubavitch Rov, Shalom Ber Volta. So he posted something this week. In Seattle, there was a rich family, a Jewish family, and they had an extremely wealthy family, Genoyer family. They had a son, Tzvi Hirsch, so they sent him to Torah Vadas, which yeshiva was around that time. Sent him to New York. He learned yeshiva Torah Vadas. He became very close to Reb Shlomo Heima, and he was given a Moedeke Kop, a Baal Kishrin Na'ilui. So it was 1935, and the Torah Vadas was nice, but it wasn't enough for him. So he went to Europe. He learned to several of the yeshivas Eastern Europe. He learned in Kelm. He was known to the Alta in Kelm. 1940 is the war. He is an American citizen. So he came back to the United States, got married. He had a Lubavitcher brother-in-law, Binyamin Levitin. That was one of the first families that lived there in Crown Heights. His father lived at Shmuel Levitin was a Rav in Crown Heights. So he was from Mamish when Rav Kotler started the yeshiva in Lakewood. So the Rosh Yeshiva started in Lakewood with Mamish. He's given from the Erste Koil Jungeleit. I'm talking about the 40s. So he's given from the Erste Jungeleit that were sitting there in the Koilim. Who in America then had a hasoga to sitzen lernen, years and years on a tachlis. So he was from the first Lakewood Jungeleit. But Fort Lakewood wasn't good enough for him. He wanted it. Fort. He had it's Lakewood then was not Lakewood now. 1953. He went to Eretz Yisrael in 1951, and he asked the Eitzah by his mashgiach Rav Chatzkel Levenstein. Chatzkel told him, "Come in Yerushalayim. Come in Yerushalayim. Raise your children here in Yerushalayim, and learn here in the Kol. Come to Yerushalayim." He decided to go to Yerushalayim. I wasn't so excited in Lakewood to lose such a man, but he decided he's going to Yerushalayim. A few days before he's going to Yerushalayim, his brother-in-law has yechidus by the Rebbe, and the Rebbe says, "What's going on with your brother-in-law, Tzvi Hirsch?" He says, "They're packed up. They're going in a couple of days. They're going to Eretz Yisrael." Why going to Eretz Yisrael? He said, because he wants to leave. He wants to build the land. And the Rebbe said, "No, Lakewood, he can't learn." No, he wants for his children. He wants the children to grow up in Yerushalayim. The Rebbe said, "Do me a favor. Give him a message that his place is in Lakewood. He should stay in Lakewood." Okay? He gave the message to his brother-in-law. Brother-in-law said, "That's not packed up already. We have tickets. We're going in a few days. We're going." That was it. They moved into Yerushalayim in a neighborhood, Kiryat Moshe. Today, it's a lot of these neighborhoods that today are most expensive apartments. At that time, was maybe a block or 2 blocks away from the Jordanian border. It was not safe, very not safe. So his father found out. Seattle, his son is, and today there's Angel Bakery there. Yeah. So he wants his son to live in a safer place. He said, "No." He writes him a letter. "I'm going to get you an apartment. Find that." Okay. The Viola, there was a girl, a cousin that came from Seattle, Rivka, and she was staying in their house. It was Hayir, and what happened was the mother needed to go up this. There was something she needed to do in the north of Eretz Yisrael. This was not a simple Nasiya at that time. It was maybe 6-7 hours. She was going to be away for a day or two. She took 2 of the children, the older ones, the 3 younger ones, and Rivka stayed in the house. So it was Hayir, and he's sitting and learning, and he's learning Gemara Brachos. And he leaves the door a little opened, so it shouldn't be a Shaila Yichud. Kids went to sleep, Rivka went to sleep. 2 Arabs were looking for a korban, and they got into this building, and it's an easy target. The door was slightly opened, and he was in the middle of learning Perek Misha Mesa and Mutalafono. They released 6 bullets into him, and then they saw that there was a 25-year-old girl sleeping. They killed her too. The little girl Bluma, woke up. So for whatever reason, they decided to leave. They stole the passport, what they thought they were going to do with American passports. They took a little bit of money and they disappeared. The killers were never brought to justice. The Israeli government later found out. They got even back the passports. They found out who did it. Lama kacha, because they were Jews. So in the morning, the little kids woke up and they walked out of the apartment and they were chewing crackers. And the Mitzchidreit apartment building. So Shchenim walked in and they called the police, and then they never made a Levaya, double Levaya that day. It was a very big hit from Oilam at that time. Tafshin Yud Gimel Yerushalayim. It was a terrible, terrible story. The mother came back in the time for her husband's Levaya. And she took her children, she came back to the United States. This story was written by the daughter, Bluma. It's posted this week. I said the story, so that Rav Wolpe said that there was a story with the Frierdiker Rebbe that there's once a Yid that came and asked him, his son is going to travel somewhere. Frierdiker Rebbe said, please, he shouldn't travel. The son didn't listen, and he traveled, and there was awesome baderech, and he died. So So the father came back to Frierdiker Rebbe with a taina. He didn't tell me, if you tell me what would happen, then I wouldn't let my son go. You just said he shouldn't go. Okay, whatever. So the Frierdiker Rebbe said, I didn't know what's going to happen. You think I knew what's going to happen? It's just that's, I gave you the message the way it is. I gave you the message it is, and we have to have a munas chacham. We have to listen. So I saw the story this week, and we're learning now. Tomorrow, Avram Frank said he wanted to share. We did it really once last year. That he wants to share a little bit with the Olam about Hasboninus with Tefillah. In the davening, the Shemona Esrei, there's a bracha of Ala Tzadikim, Ala Chasidim, Ala Ziknam Chametz Yisrael. There's a certain, and we say in the bracha, what we're asking the Eibishter, Simcha Keinu Imon, that we want to have a chelik with the tzaddikim. What's the pshat? We want to have a chelik with the tzaddikim. So Chassidus says like this. What's the pshat Simcha Keinu? We say in the morning, Asheinu Matov Chalkeinu, Manoim Goraleinu, Mayofa Yerushaseinu. A goydel, you can't decide you want to win a goydel. You can go to 7-Eleven, you buy a ticket. You check, you won, you didn't win. You don't decide if you win. A Yerusha also, you don't decide if you get or don't, or how much you get in Yerusha. A chelik is your chelik. You decide. You think you decide at least. But it looks to you like you're involved. So, Chalkeinu Geraleinu is the chelik of the neshama, which is not up to us. It's Chai Yechida. It's not, we can add or subtract from it. We get it as a Yid. Ashreinu Matev Chalkeinu Manoim Geraleinu Mayafi Yishaseinu. It's terrific. We got it. It's a gift to us. Chalkeinu is a chelik of the neshama, nefesh, ruach, neshama, which we do have a shlita over it. We do have. Neshama is nishma shaket, avinim, the idea of how we understand, how we look at the world. Ruach is how we feel about things. And nefesh, which is the lowest level, is machshava dibur ma'isa. We have control over it. Or we think we have control. We're supposed to have control over it. So that's chalkein. So Chassidus says that the bracha is, we're asking Hashem for the wisdom. The simchel keinu iman, that we should give our chelik to the tzaddik. That we should give our, what does it mean in a practical way? Sometimes you have a dilemma in life. What should I do right now? And you think of a tzaddik. Thinks of the Rebbe. What would the Rebbe say about this? How would the Rebbe look at this situation? What would he say about it? How would he feel about this? What would he do about this? Sometimes when we look at it this way, we have a certain level of clarity. So the bracha is, we ask the Eibush that we should have the wisdom, the simchel keinu amon, that we should give our chelik, we should give it over to the tzaddik. The simchel keinu imon, that the tzaddikim, that we should have the wisdom to give our chelik, our nefesh, ruach, neshama, over to the tzaddik. There's a story that Frierdiker Rebbe told actually here in America. He said there was a chosa, the Alter Rebbe, Reb Pinchas Roises. Pinchas Roises, his name was Roises. His mother name was Rosa. And Mrs. Rosa was a rich woman. What happened was the Alter Rebbe came to Shklov. And she heard there was a brouhaha, there was Talmidei Baal Shem Tov came, and they were boycott, and the Alter Rebbe had in the Beis Medrash a vikuach, and no one could answer him, and at the end he sang a nigun, and he left, and Segeven Lebedik, and there's a big oilam that went with him, and you lummed him. So she had a couple of son-in-laws. She said, I hear this guy is a tzaddik. If any one of you that managed to become his Talmud, I'm giving you half of my nechosim. But you have to bring me a ksav that he wrote, that you're a Talmud. So the Pinchas decided, it's good. Easy cash, gegangen. He followed the Alter Rebbe. He became a Talmud. I think Taka became a Talmud. He became Emes a Talmud. He did 11. So after being with the Alter Rebbe for 2 years, came to the Alter Rebbe, I'm going back home. And okay, he said he brought the letter from his mother-in-law, and Alter Rebbe wrote the letter to her, Taka. Your son-in-law's at my Talmud, and he gave him the chosin. He immediately took that wealth and brought it to the Alter Rebbe, which Alter Rebbe immediately took care of tzedakah. But the health to Eibush, it doesn't matter that he gave away all the chosin. As soon as he started doing Eisek, he was very matzliach. He was an Osher Gadol. There was a story with his mother-in-law, so he was called Pinchas Roises. Chassidim called him. That wasn't his real last name. We don't know what his last name was. The Pinchas Roises. So the Pinchas Roises used to go to the Alter Rebbe 4 times a year. Avol was a Getana Yida Gvir when he had time on his hands. So 4 months he spent by the Alter Rebbe. Elul was the full month, Tishrei, and Nisan and Sivan. 4 months he would go to the Alter Rebbe. And once he was sick and he couldn't go, so he was Elul Tishrei, he was home. Shmini Atzeres, he was feeling better. So Chassidim Mishklov came to Fabrengen in his house. At some point, he went into Dvek and said, "Oi, Rebbe." When Chassidim came back from Liozna, they said there was a psa. Advar Pella, in the middle of the Alter Rebbe from Fabrengen and Shmini Atzeres, the Alter Rebbe said, the Pinchas is reaching out. Whatever I could, I'm giving him. The Pinchas should be healthy. So, as you know, by Chassidim, the Prava shtik was a terrible thing. Chassidim said, your Prava is the Ruach HaKodesh. What kind of business is this? He said, no, it's not Ruach HaKodesh. He said, the first time I came for Yechidus to my Rebbe, I gave him my nefesh. The second time, I gave him my entire Ruach. The third time, I gave him my neshama. So I gave him my nefesh, I gave him my Ruach, I gave him my neshama. So, I feel my Rebbe and my Rebbe feels me. This is not Ruach HaKodesh. It's a Dava Pashut. It's an unbelievable thing. So that's the Pshat, the Simcha Keinu Iman, that we're asking the Eibishter for the wisdom that we should give over our Chelek. The Goydel, the Yerusha, that's beside it. But the thing that we're working on is the Nefesh, the Ruach, and the Neshama. So Neshama is the way we think. The Ruach is the way we feel. The Nefesh is Machshava Dibra Maisa, our life, what we do. So when we give it over to a tzaddik, it's a totally different life. It's a ganz ananda leben, like a Pinchas and Alter Rebbe.
But you have to have a big emunah for that.
Yeah,
not everybody can do it.
It's a winning strategy. It's a winning strategy. Otherwise, then the bracha ketinis, the loylam loy nevish. Otherwise, we come in Gan Eden. And what's the biggest busha? Biggest busha is that the person, someone takes you for a ride. The biggest busha is when someone takes you for a ride. Someone called me the other day. He tricked him $250,000, and the guy disappeared. And the biggest thing, he feels like a fool, like that he trusted this guy, and this guy took off with all his money. So the biggest thing is when we come lachamei v'esenim. The biggest bush is that we got so full. We thought that we got so carried away with Olam Hazam. We thought Olam Hazam is so important. And we spend so much time chasing after something that has zero value. It's nothing. So when we give our chelik to the tzaddik, then we'll never have any busha. Because we gave ourselves over to the tzaddik. So back to our original question, that what's up? Posku milamos. Because this is a special day. This is a day that has to do with Rav Shimon Bar Yochai, even though he was still alive. But this is a day that the Eibishter knows that this is a day that has a shaykhus to Rav Shimon Tzadikoi. So Bamela, when a Yid is Simcha Keinu Imam, even if a person, I'm not at that level yet, but if everything in life I give myself over to the Tzaddik, my Nefesh, my Ruach, my Neshama, like a Pinchas Roises, I live a different life. So l'chaim. Every one of us should be like this.
Amen.
Should be v'simcha keinu imam. Not only should be loy nevish, but should be the opposite. That we should walk around the koim eskufa b'vias mashiach tzkeinu.
Amen.
Okay, now we got to do at least one more song. The song of the Ben Ish Chai.
Oh.
This you're gonna have to help us. ואמרתם כה לך רבי שמעון בר יוחאי ואמרתם כה לך רבי שמעון בר יוחאי איש אלוקים קדוש הוא אשרי יין לא עשו וחכם ישכיל ביו אדוננו בר יוחאי ואמרתם כה לך רבי שמעון בר יוחאי ואמרתם כה לך רבי שמעון בר יוחאי ברוך הוא קדוש הוא מאיר מוער גדול lechoy, Adonenu bayochai, Amartem kol lechoy, Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, Amartem kol lechoy, Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, Gibol ish michama, Bedostoy notem mima, Molay v'adol. Adonai bar Yochai, Amartem kol lechoy, Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, Amartem kol lechoy, Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. Allah malas Ramois, Adonai bar Yochai, Amartem kol lechoy, Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, Amartem kol lechoy. Shimon Ukva betuch me'aram Iblei ha'gezeiro Shalom atzisrei Torah Adonai bar Yochai Ve'amartem kol lechoy Shimon bar Yochai Ve'amartem kol lechoy Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai V'shamayim gadol Choru l'makoloi Matev chelkei v'chevloi Adonai bar Yochai Martem kol lechoy Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai Ve'amartem kol lechoy Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, Echad Tzadik Livracha, De'erako Barako, Bimziko, Adonai bar Yochai, Ve'amartem kol lechoy, Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, Ve'amartem kol lechoy, Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. Pidesh kama halachos, Hein b'mishna aruchos, Ve'amar gizman machos, Adonai bar Yochai, Martem kol lechoy, Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, Ve'amartem kol lechoy, Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. Dear Toya, Asay Zanikiya, Hoydulay Mishimaya, Adonai bar Yochai, Ve'amartem kol lechoy, Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, Ve'amartem kol lechoy, Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. Yada kol hanistaroy, Varavos Nifeyeroy, Bitul Gama Gezeroy, Adonai bar Yochai, Ve'amartem kol lechoy, B'Shimon bar Yochai, Ve'amartem kol lechoy, Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. Koya, Isakeshes Moineya, Kyo Iselamoya, Adonai bar Yochai, Ve'amartem kol lechoy, Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, Ve'amartem kol lechoy, Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. Elayir v'soytoy ha'bayir kama mazir Adonai ve'amartem kol lechoy Shimon bar Yochai ve'amartem kol lechoy Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai Makom b'chab nishmaya imana ve'achiya zevivnei aliyah Adonai bar Yochai ve'amartem kol lechoy Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai ve'amartem kol lechoy Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai Me'od lemala zachali karub dula kesen al yaloy digla Adonai bar Yochai ve'amartem kol lechoy Shimon bar Yochai ve'amartem kol lechoy Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai Nesenai loy nikra Ari shebachura Meno teitzei Torah Adonai bar Yochai ve'amartem kol lechoy Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai Amartem kol lechoy Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai Asashivim tikunim Yikonim timim Antiken oil yoinim Vayanim bar Yochai Amartem kol lechoy Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai ve'amartem kol lechoy Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai Pasachet b'chama Tzir taluma Tiken zorechama Amartem kol lechoy Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai ve'amartem kol lechoy Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai Tzadik yisoy d'olam Gilo medrashat elam Yochel liftor olam Adonai bar Yochai Amartem kol lechoy Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai ve'amartem kol lechoy Shimon bar Yochai kol lezemer oritzim Ve'echtis ezakotzim Ve'amartem kol lechoy Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai Ve'amartem kol lechoy Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai V'alefonem birim b'shivteim chaverim Ve'kilos oitzorim Adonai bar Yochai Ve'amartem kol lechoy Shimon bar Yochai Ve'amartem kol lechoy Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai Shalom amal shkavay madam yam yayotu v'loy v'nimiz b'vavoy Adonai bar Amartem kol lechoy Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai Ve'amartem kol lechoy Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai Torah zomagin lanu Himei l'seinu Uyam nitztev aleinu Adonai Yeah, you want to go through all the thing of the Chaim l'chaim. No, it's less. Yeah, 150. Yeah. Chaim l'chaim l'chaim. Kain ti alonu. We should be simcha keinu yimoam.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.
That we should be exactly that way. Like we said, should be simcha keinu yimoam. We should be able like Pinchas Roises, we should be able to have the wisdom to give over a nefesh, a ruach, and a shama. It should be a different life.